Surprise, surprise, Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs add another giant commitment in the 2026 class. This time it's four-star safety Tyreek Green, a do-it-all three-way player out of Buford High School, offense, defense, special teams, you name it, this kid does it. He is committed to Georgia to play safety, giving the Dogs their fourth safety commitment in this class, their 28th overall commitment in the 26th class, and another step forward to them possibly signing the nation's #1 recruiting class. But this kid is a guy that Georgia fans should be really, really excited about. The instincts, the ball skills. He really can do it all from the safety position. Really versatile. He can play safety, strong safety, free safety, star, nickel. They can move him all around because of his toughness, his physicality. I'm going to talk about the numbers in just a second, but something that you may not be able to see on film that I've, learned asking about him and watching him play over the years in person, the fire, the energy, the passion that he plays the game with. That's why Georgia wanted him. And they offered him early in the process. Hand up, when they offered him as a freshman at Kell High School, like 3-4 years ago now, it feels like, I knew at the time that, okay, this kid's going to be a really good player. He's making plays already for a really strong Kell program. But at the time, I thought he was a little undersized. I thought that this was a, hey, you're on our radar type of offer. I didn't know when they offered that he would, in fact, have the green light to jump on board and be a guy that they really, really pushed for. The kid got better and better. He added weight. He continued to progress and develop, not only, as a safety, but all over the field. I mean, this guy was Buford's second leading rusher from a yards and a touchdown standpoint. I think running the ball, he had 527 yards, 8 touchdowns, averaging 6.8 yards a carry against some really talented, tough physical defenses in Gwinnett County. At his safety spot, he only made 28 tackles. That's nothing to be concerned about because Buford's defense was absolutely loaded with D1 and SEC players all over the field, right? So 28 tackles, not something to be concerned about. However, he picked off 5 passes, which is something that you just don't see too often at the high school level, especially at this level. He's played against some outstanding offenses, and the ability to close and make a play on the football really stands out. He is smart. He's instinctive. He consistently finds his way to the football and knows how to make a play on it. He is a sound tackler. He wraps up. He hits behind his pads. This is a guy who can play close to the line of scrimmage. I think he would be great in that star role. I think he, might be a little undersized, covering some of those tight ends over the middle of the field, but, he's got that toughness and that physicality to hold his own there. But when the ball's in the air, he knows how to locate it, find it, and go make a play on it. He runs well. He's got good footwork. He's just, sound in coverage in what he's trying to do. He's more of a zone guy than a man-to-man guy, but the guy flies all over the field. He's got a nose for the football. He's just a ball magnet, and he's a natural athlete. Again, this is one of the top three-way players you'll find across the state. He's an excellent returner, makes a lot of plays at running back. I really like his film at running back. He's just a little small to play running back at the collegiate level, but the natural athleticism, the instincts, and him being a gamer and a natural playmaker, that's why Georgia wanted him and pushed for a commitment, and today they landed it. He committed to Georgia over Miami and Auburn. But you turn on the film that you can watch for free over on Dawg Post, okay? We've got the giant breakdown of him as a player. We've got his highlights over at Buford, but the guy got better year after year after year. And again, there's obviously something that they really liked about his game, offering the kid as a freshman at Kell. And he was making plays as a freshman. I just didn't know at the time, okay, like, is this guy really Georgia good? Turns out he was. And the way he plays football and what he brings to the table from just an athleticism standpoint, yeah, they said, bring it on, right? We're going to push for this kid, and they landed him. So, we know that Georgia wants to play a lot of defensive backs, right? They love that 3-3-5. They love having defensive backs all over the place. But for that to work, you have to have tough physical defensive backs, right? You can't have teams run on you consistently. And in that scheme that they love, if you're going to play defensive back at Georgia, yes, you have to cover and make plays on the football, but you have to be able to tackle. And this young man can do that. So no matter what safety position he ends up being at, whether he does line up in the slot right at that star position, he's going to bring playmaking ability, and he's a guy who made a lot of plays at Buford. And again, Buford is one of the best programs not only in Georgia but across the country. They are loaded with talent. They don't normally need guys to play both ways because normally they've got guys. So rarely will you see a guy at Buford. I say rarely, it happens. KJ Bolden played offense and defense for Buford, but they're saying, hey, you're one of our star defenders. He's one of the best players on the team, right? But they have him at the safety spot. He makes a lot of plays, but they're also saying, hey, we need you on offense too. We need you to be our number 2 running back and our number 1 safety and one of our kick returners and punt returners. So he's good enough to play all over the place at a place like Buford that has a standard, that works these kids hard, that practices to a standard, that wants to win. And that's what he does. He competes, loves to work. He works with KJ Bolden in the offseason. Those two are still close. And again, this is a guy that Georgia's had their eye on for a while. And it felt like, late in the spring, early in the summer, they really started to push for him and make him a priority. Maybe they did that previously. That wasn't to my knowledge. They always liked him, but it did feel like they kind of pushed for his commitment a little bit more this summer. And after his official visit, you kind of knew, just asking around, like, hey, okay, this kid's probably going to end up at Georgia if they really, really want him. And today, turned down Miami and Auburn to play, 45 minutes down the road for the University of Georgia. Glenn Schumann, Kirby Smart, Travaris Robinson, they all, were high on this guy. Dante Williams, I think, would love him to possibly get some look at cornerback too. That's just what this kid does. He is a playmaker, and he's just a natural. And you see that sometimes with guys, like they were put on this beautiful earth to play football. And he just grew up playing and earned, significant playing time as a freshman because he was that good. And so again, a guy that Georgia offered a long time ago, pushed for him, and he gives Georgia their 4th safety commitment, right? Jordan Smith, the highest ranked safety commitment they have out of Houston County. He's a bigger, probably more physical, but I don't know if he is maybe as versatile or has the quickness or the athleticism that Tyreek Green has. They're 2 different safeties. Zachariah Fort is a 4-star safety out of IMG Academy. He is a tough, physical hitter, another guy who's really going to help in the run game, take on blocks on the perimeter. It's going to be tough to excel in the screen and short passing game against these defensive backs down the road. If they keep progressing and developing, they're going to sniff out a lot of these short, intermediate passing attacks. Anything going out to the perimeter, these guys are going to be on it, right? They can sniff it out. They're smart, they're instinctual, and they can hit, and they can tackle, and they know what they're doing. And they're guys that Georgia liked enough to say, hey, we can go just about everywhere for defensive backs, especially like the safety spot. And we want this kid, right? This kid can play for us, so we can make him even better. So Tyreek Green, a really good player, versatile, tough, makes a lot of plays. And again, 5 interceptions. That's nothing. That's nothing to look over. That is really, really solid. He's the number 13 safety prospect, the number 165 overall player in the country. So not a top 150 kid, but I'm telling you right now, Georgia fans should be excited about him. And if you follow high school football in the state of Georgia, you've probably already heard of him. If you watch the Buford Wolves at all, if you watch any of the playoffs, this guy is flying to the football, making plays, breaks a lot of tackles at running back. I mean, it's the balance, the toughness, the footwork, the elusiveness that he brings to the table there. He just moves at a different pace, and he's going up against the best of the best in the state of Georgia week in and week out. He's going against quality competition in all 3 phases of the game, and he's excelling week after week. So this is a kid that's going to come to Athens working hard, probably going to have a chip on his shoulder for whatever reason, because that's how he plays on film. And again, you can watch that for free over on Dawg Post. But a really nice pickup for the Dogs. One of the top, again, do-it-all athletes across the state, and a top 200 player, a top 15 safety. Just the rich get richer there, right? They've got 3 cornerbacks who are really good. They've got 4 safeties now, so they are loading up on defensive backs, and they're not, they don't have to go all over the place. And they've got their 3rd in-state defensive back or 3rd in-state safety. All the corners are out-of-state guys, and the other safety, Zachariah Fort's an out-of-state guy too. But 28 commitments now. The Dogs continue to roll. We'll see if they pick up another commitment in about 30 minutes or so. And for another in-state guy. But this one, all about Tyreek Green, a big-time playmaking safety out of Buford High School, committing to Georgia over Miami and Auburn, giving Georgia another talented in-state commitment in the 2026 class. Of course, you can read all about him and watch highlights over on Dawg Post for free. So make sure you're doing that. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you on the website.